For something that I teach in my classes called associations. And this is definitely something that I would call intermediate to advanced level. This is not something I'm going to spring on a person that's coming to my class for the first time. Got to get to know the cards at least on an initial level before you start hitting associations. But associations is basically, the premise is that there are certain cards in the deck, and pretty much this can apply to every card, but there are more some than others, where there's something in the card that links it to another card. And there's a lot of different ways that they link, and that's what I'm going to go over in this video. Associations is definitely something that I call art form. It falls into the art form category of what we do. In other words, it falls into the creative side. You may see an association between two cards that I don't, and really the possibilities are limitless, and that's the great thing about associations. Let's talk about some of the ways that we link up cards, and the whole idea with associations as far as their meaning and their effectiveness is that when you have a spread out, let's say for particularly the Celtic cross, then and you've got some cards that you are linking with an association, it adds further meaning and further depth to the spread. It just makes it broader. All right, so let's talk first about one way that we link cards, associate cards, is with a major and a minor arcana card. Okay, there's a few in the deck that are pretty obvious with this. Let's look at the first two: the Hanged Man and the Four of Swords. Now these cards make an automatic association because really the Four of Swords is a minor arcana version in a sense of the Hanged Man. It's the same exact MO. The man is on his journey, he stops, he takes a break, he rests, he gets the illumination that he needs, and goes on further on his journey when he's completed that process. They're both rests in the scheme of things, and they're both spiritual cards. The only really difference being that with the Four of Swords, you have more of the mental aspect of what's going on, but he's still comforted by his spirituality, and it's still a rest for illumination that takes place. All right. Now the next two major and minor arcana, we're showing an association. The Death card and the Ten of Swords. Exact same MO happens in these two cards. Something has to die so something can be reborn in its place. Okay, and the Ten of Swords being, for all effective purposes, a minor arcana version of the Death card. And again, similar to the last example, the only difference being that the Ten of Swords is a mental ruin, but they both have the exact same MO. And if you'll notice in the Death card, you see in the middle right, you'll see the sun coming up in the background, representing that thing that is going to be born in the place of what's dying. And you have the same thing happening in the Ten of Swords in the middle of the card, which is literally the golden dawn there rising. That's the thing that's going to be born in the place of the annihilation. All right, the next two, and we can same exact thing. We're doing major and minor arcana card associations. This is the Lovers and the Two of Cups, and the card on the right, the Golden Dawn name for that card is Love. Okay, so again, we have an example here that the Two of Cups being in a minor arcana version of the Lovers card. Okay, and you'll notice a lot of similarities in the card. And of course, the Two of Cups being a Cups card, we automatically make it has to do with the emotions. That would be the distinguishing difference between the two cards. The same thing, two people coming together, or two emotions coming together. And then we also, I feel it important to note that there's two major arcana cards, and there's a few of these I'm going to point out, but the Lovers and the Devil. Okay, even though these two cards have they have very, very different meanings, very different feelings about them. Two completely different astrological correspondences. The Lovers is Gemini and the Devil is Capricorn. But obviously when we look at the artwork to these cards, we must associate these cards, okay? And so even if you have the lovers show up in a spread, but you don't have the devil, and vice versa, you were making an association with the card. We're always remembering that love, as it was intended to be on the left, can be very easily twisted and perverted by the forces on the right, okay? And just as though when the devil shows up by himself representing temptation in a spread, that's always the key thing with him when he shows up. It's always about temptation. Well, then we always must remember that the good side to that is that love has a way that it was intended to be, and then we link it back to the Lover's card. All right. Now, two other major arcana cards that we link together are the Wheel of Fortune and the World. And we link them, or we associate them, for the same reasons that we did the last two cards. That's the artwork. And you can see the similarities in a major way. Okay, and I get this asked a lot, particularly when I'm reading for people. What are these things on the outer fringes of the card? These are the four types of astrological signs. You have the bull for Taurus, Leo the lion for fire. You have the eagle represents Scorpio for water, and you have the water bearer for air. Okay, and you have the same exact thing in the World card. Okay, now I'm not going to go into these are both very complex cards, and I'm not going to go into all the explanation of all the different things that are on here, particularly with the Wheel of Fortune. But obviously these two cards are something that we link together. The basic premise between these two is that the World card is the astral version of the Wheel of Fortune, in a sense. Alright, so let's talk about an association that takes place with objects in a card. So this is yet another form of association. Now, notice in Justice we have the scales. And notice in the Six of Pentacles, the man is holding scales. Okay, so we must make an association with these two cards. Interestingly enough, the Six of Pentacles is a Taurus card. It's literally the moon in Taurus. But even though it's a Taurus card, we automatically make an association with Libra, balance. And the name of that card, interestingly enough, is material balance. All right, one more for you here. We show you how cards we link and make an association with cards astrologically. Okay, now the moon is Pisces. That is its astrological correspondence. So that means that any other card in the deck that is correspondent to Pisces, we're going to make an association with. And this can work in between any of these cards, back and forth. So the King of Cups, he is clearly Pisces, as you can see the fish around his neck. Okay. The other three court cards are Cancer, Queen of Cups, and then we have Scorpio, the Knight of Cups. And you see the waters in the bottom of the Knight of Cups represents what they call the deep waters of Scorpio. Right? And the page has no astrological correspondence because the pages are here on Earth. They just show up and they deliver a message. But notice the fish coming out of the page's cup. And then there's the fish on the King of Cups necklace. Okay, so we are still associating Pisces with all of these court cards, even though the Queen and the Knight have their own different signs. They're still associated with Pisces. And then we have the three minor arcana cards that are corresponded to Pisces. All three of these are Pisces cards, the 8, 9, and 10 of Cups. And you can always look at your Golden Dawn materials, your Golden Dawn book T in particular will give you, there's a lot of stuff out there that shows you what the proper astrological correspondences are. Alright, so that in a nutshell is associations.